Good evening, everyone. We're sorry about the tight space. If you don't know, governors' commissions don't have budgets if we don't have revenue. So we've got to go with spaces that are donated. We do have an arrangement with the hospital to use the auditorium, which is across the street, but it's booked tonight. So this was the only other space that they had available. But we appreciate everybody turning out. I think this room being filled to capacity is actually a good sign for the city of Stonecrest. What we want to do now is we want to start off with public comments from the people who signed up to speak. Hopefully, you won't need a microphone in this small room. But the first person that we have signed up to speak is Dr. Nancy Williams.
All right, this is an executive summary for the new city of Stonecrest. I'm just going to read it. The proposal, as we begin to plan the development of our new city, the city of Stonecrest, we have an opportunity to become the first in the nation to provide holistic well-being for the person, family, community, and ultimately the nations by providing communities of healing arts that organizes itself as a place to find well-being physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. The problem and opportunity, it's not hard to see that everywhere we turn, you can see a dire need for healing in the area of one's physical health, mental stability, family, community cohesiveness, and spiritual direction, just to name a few. And the city of Stonecrest has an opportunity to develop, organize, and implement a community that addresses the need of the whole individual. The solution and product, America has become a fear-based country. Everywhere we turn, there's stress on the individual, from health care concerns, financial despair to safety. I'm proposing that we make the new city of Stonecrest a model for the rest of the world to reshape the value of the person, the family, and the community. The potential return revenue model, research shows that health and wellness is on an upward climb. People are looking for better quality of life. The new city of Stonecrest has an opportunity and infrastructure to show what that looks like with four main components. The Stonecrest City Center District with government, shopping, entertainment, and eating establishments. 2, the National Heritage Area with 33 miles of beautiful trails and rich history. 3, the Monastery of the Holy Spirit for spiritual direction and contemplation of one's life. 4, the City of Lithonia as a partnership for more economic development. As we develop and organize a systematic plan to bring businesses that support our mission into our community, it will generate revenue for all 4 areas, making it a thriving city and community model. The competition, as a wife, mother, holistic doctor, and business owner and resident in this community, I've had the opportunity to travel, see, and experience various cultures and communities. And although I've seen various places that have catered to components of healing the person, family, and communities, I've not found one that has embodied the whole experience and dedicated as a mission.
Thank you. Next is Mr. Fred Riggins.
Good evening and Happy New Year. My name is Fred Riggins. I'm the president of the HOA at Legacy at Stony Creek community. And my concern is that will the new city be able to give a building permit when someone want to make some type of reconstruction to their home once we have architectural design? Will they do that? And my other concern is we have been trying to get those 18-wheelers off of Rockland Road. They come out Turner Hill, and they've been coming here, turn into Rockland, they go on into Klondike before they can get 75, bypassing 285 on into 75. I have been working with the DeKalb County Police. I called the city, and we can't get those 18-wheelers off that road because they'll continue to tear the road up. And I want to know, as a city, are we going to put signs out there saying, that these big trucks, unless they by DOD, have a manifest to be delivering cargo, be on those roads. And plus it's dangerous when you come in for Rockland, go by forward, that new subdivision, where they're building, there's a lot of traffic coming in there, and it's very dangerous, those big trucks. So some of them have been parking there. we have got them off of Rockland in front of the subdivision, but now we're having some of those trucks coming into the subdivision and they are turning around. And also, I found out the other day that Cobb County school bus is turning in the wrong way, you know, and we got to do something about them. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Riggins. Next we have Harold Smith.
Hello, I'm Harold Smith, Honest Communities, and I just have a question, quick question here, and the reasons is, what are your plans for enterprise risk management, ERM, processes and startup strategy to ensure that adequate internal control, transparency, and good government are at the root of the development from the start? And looking at the structure and the different officers and what have you, did not see provision for a city auditor, something like that, you know, that particular office. So just wondering, and then on top of that, the city auditor we may need to have a oversight committee over that's composed of citizens. And that way you have true transparency. Having the city auditor report to the oversight committee, very similar to what the Cobb County has today. Or just started. And then that's my question. Thank you.
Okay. We're not answering questions at this time. As we said, we are just organizing now. This is our first organizational meeting. So, but if you could please submit that to the website. Okay, thank you. And finally, we have Jason Larry from Spring Lake.
I yield my time to the
Okay, thank you. All right, well, we're gonna, now that the public comment portion is completed, we want to call the meeting to order. We do want to begin with an invocation, however. So if there's no ministers in the audience, we will execute that ourselves. All right?
Let us bow our heads. Father, we bless you and thank you for this opportunity you've given us to create a wonderful city. We thank you for the people you put in place to bring this to pass. We thank you as we come together with one mind, one spirit, with one vision to move forward and make this an incredible city. Now we thank you for the wisdom that you would give us, the direction that you give us, and the power through your precious Holy Spirit. We thank you for this meeting that we will accomplish those things we need to. We thank you for order and design and productivity. We thank you for doing great and mighty things for us in this city and making us a lighthouse in the country. So Lord, we give you all honor and praise, and we thank you for this time together. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Turner. Next, we wanted to make sure that you knew who your governor's commission is. We were all appointed by Governor Deal in late November. This is our first organizational meeting. We didn't even all know each other prior to these appointments. And so now we're ready to get the ball rolling, but we want to make sure that you know who we are. My name is Joel Thibodeau. I'm a 15-year resident of the Stonecrest area. I live off of Browns Mill Road in Savoy Chase Crossing. I'm an employee of the DeKalb County School District, where I'm the director of internal audits. Prior to that, I was with the State Senate in the Senate Budget and Evaluation Office. Directly to my right is Ms. Michelle Emanuel, who is a software sales executive by profession, but also very active in her community over in Lionsgate off of Emmons Mill Road. Next to Ms. Emanuel is Mr. Marcus Butts, who is a planning commissioner with DeKalb County and is also employed by the city of Atlanta in land acquisition. Is it? Okay, great. Next to him is Mr. Sean, what's your last name, Sean? Mr. Sean Jones. Sean was also on the Stonecrest Yes Committee and Stonecrest City Alliance. He is an IT executive who owns his own company. He contracts with the CDC, and he also works for Northrop Grumman. And next to Sean is Mr. Jim Burgess. Mr. Burgess is the retired executive director of the Georgia Municipal Association. He's also a former mayor of Social Circle, Georgia, and he was on the original Sandy Springs Commission appointed by Governor Perdue, was it back then? He is bringing a wealth of experience in city formation and city management to this group. So these are the 5 people who Governor Deal has appointed to help put this city together in time for your elected officials to take over when that time comes. And that is the purpose of this commission, to negotiate the contracts with the county, to bring in the services that we need, whether we contract them or to structure them the way that we feel is best for this municipality, and to get everything up and running so that when the mayor and city council take office, they are stepping behind the wheel of a fully functioning city. I wanted to take this time to recognize any elected officials who may be present. Ms. Vicki Turner is the school board representative from District 5, which is Stonecrest, and we're glad to have you here. Any other folks who are already elected? Okay. I just wanted to take some time, if people who have declared that they're running for municipal office, if they are so willing to make themselves seen now, that's fine. If not, that's fine again. Mr. Robert Turner.
District 2.
Good evening, everyone. Diana Doma, District 5.
Jimmy Clanton, District 1.
Could they stand up?
Yeah.
Jimmy Clanton, District 1.
Good evening. Diana Doma. I'm a businesswoman and I'm running for City Council, District 5.
Okay, Eric Hubbard, running for a District 3 representative.
Lloyd Morrison, I'm an educator, small business owner, also a veteran. I live in Stony Creek with Mr. Riggins, and I am declaring myself for District 5.
Jason Larry, past president of Stonecrest City Alliance and Stonecrest Yes, and I declare myself the mayor of Stonecrest.
All right. Anyone else?
Jasmine Cobble, I'll be running for District 3. Eric, nice to meet you.
Okay. I thought twice about having people introduce themselves, but this is family, the way I look at it, and it's all good for us to know each other and who we are. Regardless of how these elections are going to turn out, we're all going to be neighbors, and we're all going to be working together for the betterment of this community. And so I just wanted people to be noticed and recognized. All right, well, on to the business. Anybody have the agenda pulled up? I had the first 3 items memorized, but I don't have my copy of it. Okay, so we introduced the commission members. Does anyone want to stand and speak for themselves? I gave you all the names. I think we were okay. Okay, consideration of the commission's purpose and objectives. Basically, I articulated that earlier. The state statute says that, the responsibility of the governor's commission is to assist in the setting up of city government, also to negotiate intergovernmental contracts with the county and any other governments that we will be doing business with. That includes the state, neighboring counties, and neighboring cities. We are also supposed to look at the budget and create the initial pro forma budget once we identify what the tax revenues and other revenues are going to be coming into the city. So we will need to talk to our utility companies, the telephone, electric, gas, about franchise fees, as well as DeKalb County about tax collection, and the state, as far as collections that are made at the state level and then transferred down to the city. Those are the initial things that we're going to be taking on up until the time that the city council takes over. The governor's commission cannot tax people. We cannot spend public revenues. We cannot commit the city to any debt. We cannot affect any contract on behalf of the city. All we can do is negotiate and then present the best possible deals and the best possible contracts to the elected city government. So understand that at no time will people who you did not vote for make decisions on behalf of the city that you are committed to. Okay, that will only be ratified by the elected government of Stonecrest once they are in office. We would only be setting up the groundwork that the city council and the mayor would then accept and ratify and put into place. I wanted to be completely clear about that. Do we have any opinion or discussion about or additions to what we feel our charge is and what our objectives are from the commission? Okay, hearing none, we will adopt this as our purpose publicly. There are no objections. Everybody in favor?
I move that we adopt.
We adopt them. Okay, we have a motion to adopt and we have a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay, so we've adopted that as our purpose and objective. Consideration of our regular meeting schedule. We do have the auditorium at the oncology center across the street reserved for these meetings going forward, which is a much larger place, more conducive to public meetings. And we have that place reserved for every Thursday of the month. And so from now, at least through the next 3 months until the election that has already been scheduled. So we plan on meeting every Thursday for our public meeting. This does not include executive sessions where we will get together to discuss how we will set things up and how we would present things to the public, nor does it include the community council meetings that many of you will be involved with in giving your input and making your voice known to the city officials and in the construction of the city. I'm going to explain more about the community commission in a minute, but we wanted to make sure that everybody understood that our regular public meeting schedule will be on Thursday evenings at 6:30, starting with public comments, pretty much following the same agenda that we did tonight, although the action items will be different. But we will start out with public comments, then bring the meeting to order with an invocation, and then we will get down to business. And so I'm presenting this as our proposal for public meetings that will be held every Thursday at 8:30. I'm sorry, at 6:30. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we adopt the meeting schedule of every Thursday, 6:30,
Yes.
at the
At the auditorium at the oncology center. All right, do I have a second? All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. So our public meetings are now established for every Thursday at 6:30 at the oncology center. Thank you. Okay, consideration of commission activities and methods. This is where the community commission comes in, okay? I'm also chair of the community commission. The co-chair is Mr. Vaughn Irons, standing in the back of the room. Vaughn has handled a lot of logistics regarding the meeting space. He's also been the person who's been getting in touch with folks and making sure that people are assigned to committees. A lot of the people who are present in this room have signed up for community council committees, and we're glad to have you. The purpose of the community council is much like where in other cities where they call the task force. Each committee is going to be focused on a particular area of city governance. Okay, so we're going to have a committee for zoning and planning, a committee for parks and rec, committee for code enforcement and beautification, a committee for city operations, and a committee for community affairs, which includes education and public safety. As you know, education is provided from a county level entity, which is the school board, but we have ideas and ways that we want our community to engage the school district and our individual schools in order to improve education down in the Stonecrest footprint. We don't initially plan to take on police services, but the needs and the desires of the community need to be heard when we negotiate the intergovernmental agreements with the DeKalb County or any other entity that will be providing police services to the city of Stonecrest. And so community members will be involved in identifying what those needs and desires are and articulating them to the county as we go through our deliberations and our negotiations. Code enforcement and beautification, planning and zoning, and Parks and Rec will be the initial services that the city takes on. And so the citizens on those committees will actually be formulating the plan on how those things will work within the city of Stonecrest. We have a number of options that may be available to us. The commission will go out and find those options and bring them back to the community in order for there to be a robust discussion and some decision-making around those points. And then those people selected, as well as the members of the commission, would then be involved in some way with negotiating with the county or with other entities on providing those services. We also have city operations. That is the administration, all the offices that need to be manned by the city, whether that be permitting, municipal courts, just the city hall and where that goes, how that's going to be set up, what kind of lease agreement we're going to go into in order to have that space. So we have community members on that board as well. The governor's commission is probably going to be most heavily involved there, because that's the way we make sure that our elected officials have a standing city to take over when they come into office. And so we'll be looking for a lot of input from our folks, from our community folks on that, and we will be heavily involved in that. And like I said, that also includes choosing where the city offices will be located initially, until sometime we either build or lease out our own space. Question?
You didn't mention economic development.
I'm sorry, you're right. There was a 6th committee, economic development. You're right. So that's the city operations committee. Economic development is another committee. We will be working with the business owners, the other stakeholders in the city, not necessarily residents, but people who provide jobs and who have the potential to provide jobs by either locating to the city or developing land that they own to bring new businesses in. Of course, this is very important. That's the platform that Stonecrest Yes and Stonecrest City Alliance ran on. We've always believed that our salvation here is economic development, bringing new businesses so that the people, the educated workforce that we have here can work close to home and then be more involved in our schools and our community and things of that sort, which will bring everything up. Also, new businesses here with name recognition, bringing in new jobs, attracting other businesses that support those, also help bring our property values up and get us out of the upside down position that many of us find ourselves in within the city of Stonecrest. And so we understand that economic development is a huge part of what we're trying to do. And we also have some very good business owners and others on that committee to help bring those things about. And they will primarily be discussing different plans to bring businesses in. Do you have anything to add?
I was just gonna ask you to talk about the industrial parks in the CID, because I think
Okay.
they're important as a part of.
Okay. If any of you looked at the charter, the city charter does include the establishment of a Stonecrest CID, which we're not sure exactly what space or what area that will cover. We know that will initially cover the office park, the Lithonia Industrial Park, that office park, and we're hoping that it also includes the mall and other industrial areas. And the CID is going to be an instrument for development because they can also leverage, it's a self-taxing entity, so those businesses tax themselves additionally in order to have more revenue to invest in the area. They can also take those revenues and leverage them against other state and federal programs to bring additional revenue in. but by putting up matching funds that then the federal government or the state government would pour in additional investment into the area. So the industrial park is a very big part of what we're trying to do as far as economic development is concerned. One of the things that I've heard residents worry about is what kind of businesses are going to be brought there. Businesses who provide jobs. One of the things, if you looked at the Stonecrest map, the industrial areas, the commercial areas, and the residential areas are pretty distinct areas of the city. So you don't have people living in the middle of the industrial park. Most of our neighborhoods, for the most part, are south of I-20. The industrial parks are primarily north of I-20. And so we will be looking to bring all types of businesses in order to provide jobs to our citizenry in the surrounding area. But those are all things that the Citizens Committee can take on and discuss before we go on with any formation, official formation of the CID and, approving whatever plan that they have. And Vaughn is the chairman of the Economic Development Committee. Finally, we have planning and zoning.
Is the mall guaranteed to be part of that CID?
The charter gives us the authority to establish one. It does not set the boundaries of the CID. And so the boundaries of the CID are still things that are going to need to be negotiated and developed to see, what businesses, how much negotiation will we have to do with the current CID in order to pull ourselves out of that and to establish a new one. So there's more work to be done on the actual CID, but that will be done during this process. Planning and zoning, I know that's another hot topic issue for the citizens here. We want to control the types of businesses that come into our footprint. We want to control the types of residential development that come into our footprint. We want to control the types of land use that the county or even the city wants to do within our footprint. And so the planning and zoning is a big part of what we're trying to do as well. We always felt that if we could control the types of businesses that come in, if we can keep the nuisance businesses out of our footprint, the kind that cost us money, the kind that cost us quality of life, that will help to improve our quality of life and our standard of living in our footprint. So that's also a very important committee. So we've got those 6 committees in the Stonecrest Community Committee, which will be made up primarily of citizens and will be an advisory to the Governor's Commission. So we will be interacting with the Community Commission throughout this process. We see the Community Commission as our partners in this, and we're all going to work together to put the best possible city up when it's time to.
Could you get those 6 again, please?
Okay. Code enforcement and beautification, planning and zoning, city operations, economic development, parks and recreation, and community affairs. And community affairs will have 2 subcommittees. One is public safety and the other is education. Okay, any discussion from, can we have a motion that we adopt this as our methodology moving forward? As our activity, how our activities are mapped out and our methodology moving forward?
I simply motion to move forward with those activities.
Is there a second? Okay, any discussion or questions from the board?
Who did the second?
Right. Okay. All right, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? None. Adopted that the community committee be the partner of the Governor's Commission on Stonecrest and be involved in our operations moving forward. I wanted to recognize community committee chairs while we're all here. I know Vaughn Irons is the chair of the Economic Development Committee. Sean Jones who's also on the commission, is chair of the City Operations Committee. Michelle Emmanuel, who's also on the commission, is chair of Code Enforcement and Beautification. She's in the hallway. She can't quite get her way back in here.
Code enforcement and what?
Code Enforcement and Beautification. Code enforcement is the people who make sure that the grass is cut in front of the stores, all the bulbs are working in their lights.
Shirley Jones.
What's that?
Shirley Jones.
Michelle Emmanuel.
Oh, okay.
So we're looking for that committee and for that group to improve the general look of the area. Make sure that the grass on the roadway, major roadways are cut. We don't have the high grass. We don't have the trash on the side of roads. That our businesses and shopping centers, they have all their lights. That their parking lots are kept in order and things of that sort. So I think that when a city looks like the people respect it, the people who visit respect the city. We also have Ms. Barbara Lee, who is heading up the Education Committee under Community Affairs. Is Mira Cardenas here? Mira is the chair of Parks and Rec. Did I forget any of the committees? Public Safety. Is Michael Williams here? Okay, Michael Williams is a resident of the Parks of Stonecrest. He was also a candidate for sheriff in this past election cycle, and he's a person who expressed interest, and we'll make sure that we get back in touch with him. And out in the hallway, Mr. Patrick Ajike is, if you could let him get in here so people can see who he is. Mr. Patrick Ajike is the chair of Planning and Zoning. Mr. Ajike is currently Clayton County's Director of Community Development, and he also held the same position in DeKalb for some years. And so he's a very qualified resident of the city of Stonecrest who's put his name in to help us out. Okay. I think that covers all the commission chairs or the community chairs.
I have a question.
Excuse me.
Yeah, we recognize Ms. Lee, and Mr. Williams is not here. We recognize Vaughn, we recognize you, we recognize Michelle. Ms. Lee. Ms. Lee spent years with the DeKalb County School District. She's also the retired principal of Bowie Elementary School. Murphy County? People kept telling me Bowie, and never. It's still in the city. We're glad to have it.
I have a question.
You got a question?
Questions?
Yes.
How do you sign up for a committee?
We had signups online through the website since the time of the election through December 31st. I'm not sure how many vacancies we have. We were down to very few. But please feel free to submit your resume to the website. And if there's somewhere where we can fit you in, or as this process goes on and people fall off, we'd be happy to have some more come in. Yes, Sean?
So I did close the website on the 31st, pending this meeting and the outcome of this meeting. It will be opened back up for signups within 48 hours. I also wanted to give the commission as well as the community time to go through what had already been submitted. So it'll be open another 48 hours.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So how, if you sign up for a committee, how would you get notified that you are a participant of that committee?
We're going to have notifications going out within the next 24 hours.
And also, I just want to add that for the purposes of public notices to meetings, the only place to get that information, well, not the only place, but the best place to get that information is on the StonecrestCity.com website. That URL will change in the coming weeks to StonecrestGA.gov, but for now it's StonecrestCity.com. If you get a newsletter, if you get anything in a newspaper, that second secondary information. If you want to know what's going on with meetings, the best place to go is the website I mentioned earlier. And moving forward, we will have the advanced schedule, if you would. I know some folks were upset because of the seemingly short notice of this meeting. I sent out explanations to a lot of folks earlier, but you can go to that website to find out the latest information on meetings.
Right. And of course, as required by law, any postings of our public meetings will be found in the County of Oregon, which is the Champion newspaper. If those notices go out, because they only publish once a week, you can still call them to find out if a notice has been submitted for a public meeting.
I was just curious about which committee would have a responsibility for business service quality, meaning businesses within Stonecrest area provide a certain standard of quality to the customers, and if that's not happening, that committee and somehow will hold that business accountable, something to that effect. I mean, it's just an idea that I had in terms of a Stonecrest quality of service standard, so that we can attract customers to Stonecrest because of that service standard.
That would be under economic development. That would be something that, if they want to raise the standard of doing business, then they would be deciding to do that. Okay. I wanted to recognize another person who is here. I'm sorry.
It seems like a lot of the notifications about meetings and about the various committees have been electronic, which I think is great. I know a number of my neighbors have not been aware of the website, have not gotten communications, and I wonder if it might be a good idea to hold off for a week or two on formulating the final committees so that more people have a chance to offer their skills and talents.
Okay, we have, like I said, 6 committees, and we've had a total of about 60 people to put their names up. But as you said, we're going to be opening up the website again to make sure that other people have an opportunity to sign up. The initial plan was to have 10 people on each committee, and so we're really close to that now. But as I said, some people may fall off, and we may find that we need more people on some committees than others. But if there's any way you can think of that gets the word out better than electronically on the city's website, then we're all for it.
I think if everybody in this room makes sure that their neighbors know, that would be a big step forward.
Yeah.
And either a single mailing to everybody in the city, which would be expensive, or stuffing mailboxes or attaching things to them as a one-time effort to say, hey, there's this exciting city being formed and you can be part of it, and this is where you go.
We definitely take that under consideration. Thank you. I wanted to recognize a person who was here, and especially during our executive session. He's the chairman. He was the chairman of the Sandy Springs Oversight Committee, and basically wrote the book on new cities in Georgia. And that's Mr. Oliver Porter, who's here with us this evening. We bring in all the all-stars to help us out here. We want to make sure that we get this done right and we get it done the best way that we possibly can. I wanted to add an item to the agenda for my commission colleagues here. We have a representative here from the law firm of Coleman Talley. And one of the things that I have found over the course of organizing this meeting in particular is that there's a lot of legal stuff. You're dealing with a lot of statutes, you're dealing with a lot of state laws, you're dealing with open records, dealing with open meetings, you're dealing with standing governments who are skilled at negotiating, where we're a bunch of citizens trying to get this done. I think that it's very important that we have an attorney advising us on these matters. In the interim, this is not the hiring of a city attorney. This is not the hiring of anyone. This is basically bringing someone on officially who will advise us on the legal parts of this process, making sure that we don't endanger Stonecrest before it's out of the creek, so to speak. We want to make sure that we're doing right by the citizens, and part of doing right by the citizens is protecting the city from any lawsuits or future lawsuits. And so I wanted to ask if my colleagues would please consider that Coleman Talley, who is represented here by Mr. Tom Curry, be adopted as our advising attorney through this process up until the time that the city government takes office. Can I get, if I can get a motion in a second, we can then discuss.
I'm sure you probably does a dynamite job, but I don't have a resume or anything that I would be able to look at to make a decision on that tonight. I would much rather if he's willing and he's been supportive or advising at this point, particularly since we won't, between now and next meeting, enter into any type of agreement. Perhaps if we can have that presented to the body for the next meeting, maybe a resume.
That is fine. Certainly, for those of you who don't know, we want you to understand what our credentials are and what our experiences have been in the city. Until that time, whenever the next meeting, I'd be glad to serve unofficially to help Joel as far as any of these items that may take place. So that's the pleasure of the commission. And I have no objection to that.
That'll make me feel great, I'm not sure.
I want you to feel
Okay.
wonderful.
Then can we say that we can schedule an executive session to discuss this? And then present it at our next public meeting for ratification before the board?
Well, according to Robert Rules of Order, you cannot adopt, you have to approve it. You know, you said adopt.
Approve.
Okay.
Okay.
Did I hear you say that we have no revenue? Is there cost associated with that agreement? I'm just,
You have no revenue, so there's no cost.
well, I just wanted to make sure.
Right.
You guys are doing it pro bono?
I understand that completely. My interest has been with this group for a long time. Certainly
Can't hear you.
continue to take it to the point where it gets to the actual city
Right.
elections that are there. So,
Okay.
as far as procedurally, whenever you call an executive session,
Okay.
you can do it to discuss that in the session. This is not anything that requires any action.
Right.
Since it's in effect being deferred.
Okay, so that's gonna be deferred until after the executive session, our next public meeting. I want you to understand what that means is no action will be taken on this item until the next public meeting. Okay, so there will not be an official acceptance of this or approval of this item until the next public meeting where the public will be invited to ask questions and discuss. Okay. All right, seeing that we have gotten to the end of our agenda for this first initial organizational meeting.
I think we should thank the Cab Medical for providing this space and the other space successfully.
Yeah, we do want to, I'm new at this, guys, so that's why people keep yelling at me from corners. Don't do this, that. You know, my mind is focused totally on this city, and some of the peripherals kind of get away from me. But I do want to thank the Cab Medical at Hillendale for providing this free of charge. And once you get to the auditorium across the street next week, you'll see that that's a much bigger space, much nicer for these meetings, but it's also free of charge. So we appreciate their support of the city, that they recognize themselves as residents and good citizens, and that they're doing this on our behalf. Yes, ma'am.
If we wanted to say thanks to them personally, is there a one particular person or office that those thank you notes could go to?
Mr. Irons can give you that information. He's the person who worked this arrangement out for us. Yes, sir.
One question on the charter for the government commission. I think I heard that they'll be recommending contracts and sort of pre-negotiating them for the city. Is that correct?
Correct.
Who's gonna make sure that there's a good competitive bidding process, that requests for proposals are properly drafted and submitted, and that the whole thing will get the city the opportunity to know who the competitors are, what the pluses and minuses are, rather than a group of respected, smart, connected, experienced people saying, you all ought to go with this vendor under these terms.
There will be no adoption. First of all RFQs and RFPs will be approved by this body in public meetings. Okay, so there won't be anything that's being put out to bid that the public is not aware of and cannot get copies of and read for themselves. Second, we will have a committee that does evaluate the bids and make selections, but and not necessarily negotiations, but after negotiations, make the selections for recommendation to the city council. That will also be done publicly. Okay, so the public will have an opportunity to review any and all recommendations that the commission makes to the city council. One thing that needs to be clear between the community committee and the governor's commission. We're the official body appointed by the governor. We're the ones who are going to make the official recommendations to the city council. So, but the city committee will be very much involved, and they are the neighborhood, they are the people of the city, so they will, you as neighbors will be able to see the process from the beginning all the way through until it gets to us, okay, for the final development and approval. And so there's always going to be open, we're required by law to have open records and open meetings. And all those things will be there. We will only go into executive session to discuss, whether it's negotiations or it's operational matters, but everything that will impact the city itself and its taxpayers will be done in open public meetings and public forums.
I just want to add to that the body or committee that is selected from the public to review those RFPs and RFQs, they will be required to have experience with such work, so that it's not just something that anybody off the street can apply for. So as I open up the site to accept applications, we'll be looking for that type of experience to qualify that person for that committee.
Ms. Turner?
My question is, the commission will take the RFPs, RFQs, and make recommendations. I think the word that I'm focused on is you'll make recommendations to the body when it's put in place, the councilman, to include the mayor. But you are making recommendations and not decisions. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I was.
Correct. We can't.
Mr. Chairman, what the statute says regarding the commission is that it can recommend, but it cannot bind the new city in any way.
In any way.
In any type of modification.
So I think the end goal is to streamline the processes for a new council and a new city coming on board. So as opposed to starting everything from scratch, we'd like to have at least some recommendations which they're able to reject and reopen the process if they think it proven. But hopefully we can streamline those processes as much as possible. And we hope that you'll have the confidence in us to be able to make some pretty good decisions.
Yes, well said.
The question that
Yes, sir.
he asked over here, clarifying the question I was going to ask. And I think it's important that this commission make sure every step of the way that the citizens that attend these meetings understand that what you guys are making are recommendations as opposed to binding agreements.
Correct.
And that at the end of the day, it will be the people that they elect that will be able to review these recommendations and then adopt them as part of the city moving forward.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. No one will bind your tax dollars except the people that you elect. And we're not elected. So we will make the best recommendations possible, but it'll be up to your mayor and city council to accept or reject them. Yes, sir.
I just want to say I didn't mean to cast any aspersion on any member. I was just a little concerned that early on when you said this is the job of the commission, it said negotiate. It didn't say select, evaluate, compared to RFPs. Just had the word negotiate.
We will put together the RFPs, and we may have the attorney or some members of the council, some members of the commission author the RFPs, but we won't be making decisions on what the selection is. That will only be the city council and the mayor. Any other questions? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
basically, most of what you said so far, you reference tax dollars. Is there any other ways that funds will be generated?
Oh, yeah.
Like
We've
for
got-
example, you guys will go floating funds or something?
No. No, we have, you know, we have our taxes, we got property taxes, those are the taxes. But we've got some state level taxes that will funnel down to us, like the insurance premium tax. But the bulk of this city's revenue is gonna come from fees. It's gonna come from franchise fees, it's gonna come from building fees, it's gonna come from occupancy fees, things of that sort. So we've got a number of different revenue streams to come in. I think somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 additional revenue streams that will be coming into the city that are not property taxes.
Okay, maybe this question, maybe not for maybe you as a new person, but maybe for Mr. Albert Porter. Is this somewhere down the line that maybe like this Stonecrest would be issued like school bonds or other bonds to find, you know, let's say you want to build a government building and you want to issue a government bond whereby all the residents maybe could buy into this building.
I can't say that in the future that won't happen.
Now,
I mean,
if based on his experience, if this do happen with other cities.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a possibility of that, but that will be done by that elected body. But this commission is in no way able to issue bonds or raise funds in any way.
Yeah, I figured that.
Part of that. But the, for instance, Sandy Springs went for 11 years without any debt, any bond issues. Pretty good record. No raising taxes either. Now they're building a huge redevelopment of the central city. And for that, they have finally decided to issue bonds. The first time. I would, with some pride, say that we received AAA bond rating. It's the only new city in the world, I think, to do that. And one of only 19 in this whole country, existing cities, that have AAA rating. So it shows good management.
Yes, it does.
So for the uninitiated, a AAA bond rating is like a 800 credit score.
Yeah.
Got to keep that.
Yes, Mr. Doman.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to go back to previous comment because there are so many different levels of transparency, as you well know. And one of my concerns is that this transparency process with suppliers, vendors, contractors, et cetera, that is user-friendly, because you can have transparency, but if it's so complicated to the average citizen can't hop online and say, okay, let's see where this process is, then it's not transparency. And I would really like for anyone here sitting in this room, including myself, to be able to go online and see what's happening, and not just see it, but understand it, and be able to articulate what's happening to my next door neighbor or anyone.
We would, if anybody who's on the city operations committee could definitely bring that up as something that needs to be part of the city administrative structure, to have an apparatus that puts out information on a regular basis, both prior to and after adoption of any contract or supplier. So I would strongly suggest that anybody who's on the city operations committee make that a part of the recommendation for the structure of the city administration. And that, because that's where that will be handled.
So I'd like to work with you on that. Just getting your feedback as far as what is helpful for you and others to see to better understand the process. I can show you everything, anything you want, but it's gotta make sense to you, like you said.
Right, and I would be interested in, developing and building smart cities with smart citizens, where we're integrating various levels of technology to be able to communicate very effectively and efficiently with all of our citizens. Because if we're putting stuff out there and the citizens are not understanding it, we're not communicating and we're not transparent, and I stand for transparency.
Understood. All right. Yes, ma'am.
Will there be an opportunity for the
community to talk with and or ask questions of those people that are running for council?
I'm sure that during the election process, there will be a number of forums that are put out there by various groups. The commission is not involved in the electoral process. I think that would cause us to be biased. But there will be a number of community groups that have been around, just as long as DeKalb County, that will be sponsoring political forums and candidate forums so that you can do just that.
And that will be on the website as well?
We will certainly put those out because it's for public good. Anything for public good, we're going to be pushing out on the website, whether or not it has to do with commission activities.
Actually, you would be better off finding that in the newsletter.
In the
community newsletter on the community site. It's not likely to make it to the Stonecrest GA.gov site.
Yeah.
Where do you find the community newsletter? Stonecrestcity.com is the community site.
Stonecrestcity.com.
Champion Crossroads.
Crossroads.
And those as well.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
our address is gonna change, right?
Yes.
And so how is that gonna mean, will you have to prepare like our building, when our changing the grass and how does that?
The way it is now, we discussed during the campaign, we haven't taken up any official action here. We discussed petitioning for our own zip code.
Right,
Okay. Yeah. So we've discussed, bringing, petitioning for our own zip code for Stonecrest, Georgia. As it is now, we still share the zip code with Lithonia, and then the 30058 and 30038. But changing your city to Stonecrest shouldn't affect your delivery because of the way that the mail is sorted and delivered by zip code and then address. And so if you want to change your city to Stonecrest, Georgia, you're able to do that even now. But we would be communicating, or the city would be communicating at that time, a petition for a new zip code for Stonecrest.
So we can't keep 338?
For now, we have it. We're stuck with it for now.
It's a lot of changes to make to change it. I don't want to see a zip code change myself.
Well, it'll be something that would be debated at a future meeting, or even by the time the city council comes up. That's not something I want to take on. We want to make sure that the city is set up and running. So all these other changes that the community may desire for the prestige and for identification, we may defer that over to the mayor and city council when they take office. A few more questions.
Question, because I know you're going to do the recommendation for City Hall, but since the young lady just asked about the zip codes with the post office, since Stonecrest does not have a post office, are you all going to be making the recommendation for a post office for the city of Stonecrest?
The commission, we may take that, we'll discuss it. We'll discuss it. We can't say that that's what we're gonna do, definitely, but, we'll bring it up and discuss it.
So, I want to add something.
Go ahead.
So I think for us, again, because we're new, there are tons of opportunities for things that we could target and try to accomplish. But for this commission, we're going to be pretty tunnel vision, because we've only got just under 90 days to hand off to that new city council. We want to be very responsible with that time. So those things that the chairman opened up with, that we're going to be kind of committed to focusing on, partnering and locking arms with the committee folks, so we can make some very solid recommendations. Because when we pass the baton to the new mayor and city council, we expect them to take the baton and be able to run. So there are a lot of things like the post office that we may not get to, unfortunately, but those are very valid. We just ask that you be a little bit patient with us and allow us to put those in the box on the side, and hopefully folks who have more time and more energy can focus on those things.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Appreciate the commission and what you guys are doing. Is there anywhere that we can, for the people who are running for office and the people who are thinking about running for office, and the people who are looking to, people who are elected, who's going to be in office, is there any way that we can, a platform that we can voice our concerns about our area outside of just the formation of the city that you guys are handling. The things that are gonna set us apart from the other cities around us. You know, we kind of disassociated ourselves from Cal, but now that we are a city, the concerns that we have, you know, about our community, is there any way that we can, anywhere that we can post that stuff? I mean, the candidates, if you're running for mayor, if you're running for a commissioner, you know, what are you gonna run on?
So I think, you know, just to keep us focused here, I mean, you probably want to use whatever social media apparatus you have.
Well, where's everybody going?
I mean, they're gonna go where you attract them to. That's not our position to lead them toward any particular.
No, I'm asking, is there a
issue
platform on, we have a website, so is there anywhere on the website where you can put a platform for people to say,
On
hey?
our website, I don't know.
No.
I recommend the Stonecrest City Facebook page with discussions. Between that and the meetings, if you want to engage, well, the candidates, and this, again, the Stonecrest City Committee Facebook page is not part of the Governor's Commission. That's for the community. So I presume the candidates will be there reading whatever posts are made by the public. I also understand that there will be candidate sites where you can engage the candidates directly. Beyond that, it's not the responsibility, I think, of this commission.
But what I would say is that the individuals in this room should know at least what district they're in, and that would be the end point. Because that's, when you say your area of concern, first thing you want to know is whether you live in District 1 or District 2. As far as the candidates are concerned, the campaign in earnest would probably start next week after qualifying. So you're going to have a lot of opportunities to engage the candidates. Every candidate, I would believe, will have a website. And so I would agree with Sean that probably one of the best places to access this information, find out who the candidates are, outside of Homecoming Ground, Champions, and Crossroads, would be the Facebook page on that site, because most candidates are going to make their way to that page eventually. But to give a shameless plug, I'm Jimmy Clanton Jr. My website is jimmyclantonjr.com. But
Vaughn, you have anything to add to that?
Well, I think the whole comment about being able to not just share what your vision is with your community, with people running for office, but with the rest of your neighbors is very important. Because we all need to start to buy into what we see the future of Stonecrest being, and by hearing others share what they believe in and what their hopes are, it does help us. Part of what the structure is for all of these community meetings will be to start with public comment, because we have to hear from the citizens in order to engage that as a part of our discussion. And so if there's an education issue, when Ms. Lee has her committee meetings, and they'll all be posted, all the meetings will be public, citizens will be able to go and talk about those issues, and everything that is stated will be recorded. All the meetings will have minutes that will be posted. And I would suspect that every individual who's deciding to run for office, if they plan to do a good job, they'll probably either be at those meetings or read the minutes after those meetings in order to get the voice of the citizens invoked. So I would point you to that forum as a good way to not only speak directly to candidates, but to speak to the rest of us, so we can get a feel for how everybody's thinking.
All right, we have time for a couple more sessions, because I want to adjourn to an executive session before our time is up at 8 o'clock.
Well, those who's running, if you want to know, all you have to do is go to the Secretary of State website, and you pull that in, and you put the name, and they'll tell you what district you're in on the Stonecrest. When you get ready, they'll tell you what the voting is. That will take care of that, and will also list those persons that are running in that, in the areas that you vote for. And I'm hoping that when we do get our officers in, our officials, I'm hoping that we have a personnel advisory board that will take care of, they can only advise, they don't do anything, but look at an application and screen for, for grievances and things like that. Definitely, we have to personnel directly, because they're gonna be, I know we're gonna be hiring somebody sometime. We're gonna need to think about that.
Also, I have knowledge that voter identification cards are going out to citizens of the city of Stonecrest, letting you know which district you're in and where your polling place is. And so those are going out as well. So you should be receiving those. Any registered voters should be receiving those. Yes, ma'am.
If my understanding was that you were gonna start with zoning and planning, parks and rec, and code enforcement, is there any, in the interim, our first responders, like the fire, the police, the heroes, where does that stand until something's established with the city?
We will go into an intergovernmental agreement with the DeKalb County to continue to provide those services. Last question.
Thanks, sir. Let's go back to the gentleman question up front here. What we found throughout the campaign, this was a 4-year campaign that finally came to fruition, that we have an opportunity for everybody to have their city run for office, do better for ourselves. That's what this is all about. But what we found is that most of the communication, most of the presentation came from neighborhood associations, churches, and individuals that develop their own forums. And that is the best way to find out what the mettle of a person is that wants to serve office. And if there's not a forum, or if there's not something that you have that's ready, that you see that needs to happen, develop it for yourself, invite those candidates, put them to task. Then you'll know exactly where they sit with regards to your desires and your needs for your particular area. That will be my suggestion.
All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting? Second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned. We thank you all for your coming in and participation. We will now retire to a brief executive session.